Brad Miller. Congressman Miller, let me ask you, obviously as a member of the House Financial Services Committee, you just heard the president there pushing for a speedy approval of the legislation. From where you sit, how likely do you think that is that this bill passes quickly through the House and the Senate?
We'll vote midday today, and I think the Senate will vote on Thursday. We've been trying to get a read on how many Republican votes there really are for it. Speaker Pelosi said that this was not going to pass as a Democratic bill. It had to be something that was bipartisan, that represented the nation's agreement that we needed to act. Since a lot of Americans, including me, don't much like helping the people who will be most immediately and directly helped by this. And I don't know how many Republican votes there will be. I do suspect it will pass. I think it will be a fairly close vote.
Congresswoman Blackburn, I'm going to put the same question to you. I mean, do you think this bill will pass quickly?
I think that it probably will pass today. I'm one of those that is leaning no. I think that there are things that could be done, that should be done, that are not being done. And that is the mark-to-market rule. That should be immediately suspended. Cap gains tax should be immediately suspended for a couple of years.
But you wouldn't hold up the vote, perhaps, for those?
The uptick rule should be instated. You know, they're going to have their vote. The vote's going to take place today. I'm just saying, Deirdre, that it is unfortunate, very unfortunate that those things were not done. My focus is how do we make certain that this is fair to Main Street? How do we make certain that the credit markets and the liquidity issues are addressed? Mark-to-market is a big part of that. Fair value accounting, getting rid of that. Those are things that can be done and should be done right now. Could be done with the stroke of the pen. We have not asked one federal agency to go in and reduce their federal budget. And you could do that quickly, easily, 5% across the board. That's over $100 billion in savings. There is a lot that we should do. We should not be racing to get out of town. We should be buckled down here working on this, doing the things that could be done to provide
some say time is of the essence, though.
Stability. It is, and that is why mark-to-market, the uptick rule, and the suspension of cap gains could have been done last week.
Congressman Miller,
they could have been done immediately.
The plan that the president is offering to recoup any loss to taxpayers after 5 years, was this something you were particularly for?
Yes, I want taxpayers to be on the hook as little as possible. We're going to have to front the money. I do think we're going to get a lot of it back, most of it back. And according to, based upon one provision we were able to get in the bill over the weekend, if in 5 years we are still sustaining a loss, whoever is president then has to submit to Congress a plan to get the money back from this industry, not from the American people generally. Can I speak to mark-to-market for just a second?
Of course.
And it is kind of fun hearing these very far right-wing Republicans saying the market just cannot be trusted to assess risk and assign value, determine value. That is right at the heart of what markets do. And simply suspending the mark-to-market rule or suspending it with respect to assets acquired during a certain period is like pulling the covers over your head when you hear a scary noise. We really,
that's not right.
We really need to know.
Every community bank you talk to says this
Marsha,
is the number one thing.
It's my turn to talk.
We're going to discuss it.
Congressman Miller, go ahead.
We need to know who's solvent and who's not. We need to know what people's what their assets are, what their real liabilities are, their real assets, their real liabilities. Some companies need to go out of business. That was part of what prolonged the Japanese crisis in the 1990s. But we need to know. Now, we might lessen the consequences. We might relax, be more indulgent about capital requirements so that some of the companies that are kind of close to the edge can lend a little more. We might let some that are technically insolvent work through it. But it doesn't make sense not to have a real assessment of what their real position is, their assets and liabilities really are. This is an SEC rule. It is not something Congress should be messing with.
Well, that is why it could be suspended today with the stroke of the pen, and it should have been done last week.
But do you agree that it is for the SEC
average
and not the government?
That's right, and it should have been done last week. The same thing is with the uptick rule. Congress could address the suspension of the cap gains, and that should be done.
All right.
I will say I'm so pleased that we do have some of the insurance provisions in there to help with this issue.
I know you're trying to get off, but can I address the insurance plan?
Yes, please.
Just briefly, the insurance plan is that we are going to give insurance based upon losses that have already happened. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Now, what is actually in the bill is that we will do that, or we can do that, the Treasury can do that, but has to set the premiums based upon the likely losses, the likely claims. That's sort of like saying we're going to take bets on yesterday's races, but we're going to set the odds based upon the result. It is simply not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen. It's a silly idea.
Well, we